You ready?
I'm ready.
Hello, welcome back to another HAWKS cast. I'm Antonio Javira, and I'm here with
Riley Pella.
Art Club President, girlfriend, Riley Pella. I have some questions about art and art club and stuff like that. So, first question, what's your favorite art medium?
I kind of like to explore a lot of different mediums, but right now probably clay, because I have access to the clay wheel and I load and unload the kiln for all the classes in art. So I've definitely got a couple years of clay experience under my belt.
Like, what do you like to make with the clay? Like, what do you do with it?
My most recent project I made with the clay was a series of 3 different bug boxes. Each one had a different, bug theme to it. One of them was an incense box that had holes in it as if a caterpillar took bites out of it, and then the handle was a caterpillar. Then one had a ladybug and the other had a moth.
Like, what other things have you made with the clay?
Last year I made a 2-headed baby cow out of clay. I think that's all the clay I did last year. I'm in World Crafts 1 this year, and I'm currently doing the tiles. They're clay tiles from Africa, and I made them in tile shape, but I made them to be coasters instead. So I did a series of 4 different clay button coasters. I designed them to look like buttons.
And then, how did you get into art?
Growing up, my mom was always not artsy, but more crafty. So we always did crafts growing up. And then I took art class required in 7th grade, and it kind of shot me through whoa, this is really fun. And it really helps my emotions, and it's a space for me to really express how I feel. And then, I don't know, I just kind of dove headfirst into art.
Do you have a least favorite medium?
Watercolor is very unforgiving.
What do you mean?
If you put too much water on the paper will start to get grainy and it'll rip. You don't know what the water is going to do. You can put the water on the paper and it could just go 5 different ways and leak. And so watercolor is probably one of the ones that's a bit harder to master, I'd say.
Have you made anything with it? Or do you just stay away from it entirely?
Art 2 last year, I was required to make a watercolor project. It was very different from normal ones where you just paint. You had to do different techniques, using salt and rubbing alcohol, and then make a collage. So I did a peacock, which actually did sell at Arts Night last year. And that was probably one of my least favorite projects I did.
Do you plan to do something involving art in your future?
I want to be an art therapist. I went back and forth between therapist, art teacher, and then I was well, I love art and I want to help people. And if I be an art therapist, I can put 2 of those together and do what I love at 2 times.
So where do you plan to go for that?
I've been looking at a couple different colleges. I've applied to Pitt Bradford, which has an art therapy program, Mercyhurst, Slippery Rock, Carlow. But right now I'm really considering BC3, so I get my undergraduate in psychology there, and then I can transfer to Slippery Rock and get my art therapy degree.
How do you overcome art blocks?
Well, I kind of just, at school is when I have the most available mediums to me. So if one medium at school, I'm working on a painting right now, and there's been times where it's a 24 by 36, which is a lot of room for painting. So you have to focus on one area at a time. And it's very easy to get discouraged when you work on a larger project because it's hard to see the full picture of what it looks like when it's done because it takes a lot longer. So it's I just kind of do something else, and because sometimes I need to take a break from a project I'm working on if it's causing me a lot of stress, because then when I go into the painting full of stress, I don't do good. I'll make more mistakes. The paint doesn't look good. I mix the wrong color in it. So it's easier for me to just kind of take a step back and work on something else until I get those like creative juices flowing again.
Like, what would you tell someone that's going through an art block? Like, what's the advice you'd give them?
It's okay. Art blocks are really, really normal. You just kind of have to kind of figure out what works best for you. I know I've like looked stuff up on like how to overcome like creative blocks, and everything the internet has ever told me has never worked for me. So I think it's important it's a lot of trial and error, and sometimes during an art block you're gonna have a piece of art that comes out and you don't like it, and that's okay.
How do you describe your artistic process?
I'm really bad at planning. Like, I get a general idea. A lot of times, I will say listening to music does really help me, like, create something. Whenever I'm painting, I am always listening to music, and listening to music gives me ideas of what to create. So it involves a lot of music, and it involves, like, I normally sketch out my idea. But I don't plan further than that, because a lot of the time I've noticed as I'm creating, that's when my ideas are like peak. Like that's like when I get the most ideas is as I'm actively creating. So I just kind of get the general idea, and then as I go, I'm like, oh, this would look really good there. Because sometimes it's hard to visualize what will look good there if it's not like in the process.
Is there anything like specific you do? Like, is like all your stuff have like the same thing? Is there anything specific that you like do?
For a long time, it was mainly bugs and animals, because that is something that bugs, animals, anything that isn't human means a lot to me, because I think people tend to look down on, spiders and bees and all these little bugs that really do help our ecosystem and keep the world afloat. So I like to try in a lot of my artwork to really just like represent their beauty and the little things that go unseen.
Do you do commissions?
I do. I will say there's some stuff that I'm not good at in art. So if you wanted me to paint like a person you love, I don't think I'm the person for that. I'm not really good at people painting or drawing or literally anything involving humans. I did do a commission for somebody, and I painted a horse. So, yeah, I will do it if I believe I can. I don't want to give somebody bad artwork.
Like, what are some of the stuff that you've sold?
I was the first student artist to display their artwork up at ACMH Hospital. It was a series of 4 different kinds of beetles. I sold all of them for $150. And my art was in the arts night that we do at the school. I sold 2 of my artworks there. I'm kind of trying to broaden my horizons and look at other little art galleries and see where I can put my art. I'm going to be in the vendor and craft show that we have at the high school this year in December, just to kind of help make connections and meet people and see if anybody wants to, support my art.
What's the most challenging part of being an artist?
Comparison. It's easy to look at somebody else's art and be like, wow, they have a lot more talent than me, and it's very discouraging. I would say for me, that's the hardest part. I'll look at other, I have a really bad habit of, comparing myself to, Van Gogh and, Pablo Picasso, because I'm like, wow, these talented artists, and it's like, they were this good when they were my age, and I'm not. And I think it's just well, maybe it's okay, because we have different styles of art. I think comparison is the one thing that does kill me a bit as an artist.
Speaking of Van Gogh and all the others, who are your biggest artistic influences?
Honestly, this might sound a bit crazy, but hopecore videos on TikTok. I like those videos where it's posts and quotes of stuff that is very inspiring. That really does influence me to create some of the art that I do, because I I see a quote and I'm like, wow, this quote really impacted me. I'm going to create art based off of this quote. So like Pinterest is a big thing. I have different Pinterest boards of things that I find inspiring to kind of base an art project off
of. What would you like people to take away from your work?
That it doesn't have to be perfect. I think a big thing as an artist is that it's really hard when you have a reference photo and you want it to look exactly like that. But the thing about art is you can look at another artist's artwork, but you'll never be able to replicate exactly what it is because that's not your art style. It's very difficult to find your art style. I'm still working on it, and it could take years. But it's important to not really like stress yourself over not looking exactly like the reference photo. And that's what I do a lot in my art is I have a reference photo, but then I add my own things to it. But I really just want people to know it's okay if you have a bad project. It's okay to have a project that you really don't like. And that's just kind of part of being an artist is that you're gonna have things that you're like, wow, this is terrible. I never want to touch this art medium again. And I've had that so many times, but it's kind of like, well, if I stay away from an art medium, I'll never really be able to perfect it. And I don't want to leave myself out of the possibility of, maybe one day I'll master the art of watercolor. So I think it's okay to just have mistakes and have bad projects.
Another question. How do you feel about tracing? Because I heard that's like a big sin in like the art world. Like I heard like you can't be tracing if you want to be an artist. So I want to know what your thoughts on it are.
I think that's a really good question because it is the topic of discussion among a lot of artists that I know. I don't think it's a sin in the art community. We have a thing called cheater paper, which it's not so much as tracing from the internet directly onto something else is a little different. But my version of tracing and what I do is I create something and then I use a cheater paper to transfer it onto, like, say, a canvas, or like I'm doing wood burning. So like I'll transfer it onto wood so I can burn it into the wood. But starting off young, I had to copy from the internet because I was just not that good at like 11 years old. So I think it's a thing that every artist will do sometime in their art career is like, well, this seems really hard, but I really want to learn how to do it. And like to trace, you're kind of just outlining it. The hard part is filling it in. So tracing is kind of just like creating a little color book for yourself.
All right, enough about Riley. What's going on in art club?
In art club right now, we have just finished up the homecoming decor. We did window painting. So any of you guys who are at homecoming 2025, you would have seen the lovely little display of sea life on the windows. That was all art club. We have an upcoming meeting. It's either the 23rd or the 24th. It depends on the weather. For the upcoming trick-or-treat night that we do every year. So normally our club, we get together senior high and junior high, and we go out and we do pumpkins, skeletons, spooky houses, bats, anything scary and fall-y and, just so it's something for people to look at when they come in. And then that following Monday, I will be Cruella, and I'll have 2 little helpers who are my Dalmatians, and we'll be handing out candy.
Do you like the way the homecoming art came out?
I will say I was very surprised that we got it done in one meeting. It did take from 9th period till 3:30, but technically that's one meeting. So I will say I really did like it. The props, the photo booth props, we did that on a very, very short notice to the point where we had I think it was 2 homeroom meetings back to back because we were like, we need all hands on deck. Even if you're not in art club, get in here and help us with these. And they came out really beautiful. And I think my favorite part of our homecoming decorations were the big sea life animals that weren't on the windows but on the walls. So I cut out a sea turtle and an eel, and they were displayed on the walls, and they were just all black. So it's like under the sea, they're far away. But that was probably my favorite part, and I really am glad. We did find out what they wanted us to do very early, but then the photo booth props were very last minute, and we were like, okay, let's get this done. And I think we did. I think Art Club did a really good job this year.
Speaking of that, whenever I walk around the building, I'm seeing like stuff on the wall. I see like a Stranger Things over there on that stairwell, and then on the same stairwell, third floor, there's a Snoopy thing, and there's something on the end of the hallway, and like the second floor City Hall. So like, what's going on there?
That is an Art 2 project. It's the first project you do in Art 2. It's an installation. So you have to pick somewhere in the school to make something, and you display it there all year till the end of the year when we have the arts night, and then you take it down and reinstall it so everybody can see it. It's just kind of a way to add life and color to our halls. And last year when I was in Art 2, I did a spaceman coming out of a portal that was in the third floor stairwell. We did little planets, a black hole, some stars, but it's a project that every person in Art 2 does have to do.
How does it feel being Art Club president?
I don't have the title of president. I am co-president. But it does feel pretty nice because all of last year I was trained by our past Art Club president, Julia Butler, who is my dear friend, and I love her so much. And she trained me for every single job. But this year there were only 2 returning members, so kind of just did a dictatorship, and we share the roles. But it's really fun. I have picked out 2 different sophomores that I'm like, okay, girls, you're coming with me. You're mine for this year. I'm training you on everything so that your junior and senior year, you know what to do and you can become president. So I've taken on that role of training, and I'm currently working on, I made the Art Club logo this year. And when we get our shirts, we're going to do screen printing. So I'm currently working on the screens for when our shirts come in.
Is it just going to be like what's going to be on the shirts?
Yeah, it's like a statue, and like half of its head's cut off, and it just says Art Club 2025 to 2026. And we have like 4 different colors of shirts you could get. And then we're just going to do black ink straight on them.
I hear you do a lot of work because you're in what Miss Kowalski's like 6 times out of the day.
Something like that. Yeah, I have taken on a lot of roles in the art room. I'm in charge of loading and unloading the kiln. And that is a double-edged sword because I did break somebody's project yesterday, and I feel so terrible and so bad. But it is really fun, and it's prepared me a lot because, like I said, clay is my favorite medium. So now I know like what cones to fire to, slow bisque or slow glaze, all this stuff. But yeah, I've taken on a lot of different responsibilities in the art room, and I really wouldn't want it any other way because it's something I really enjoy.
Besides the Armstrong Halloween night, what else are you doing in Art Club, like after that?
Set painting for the musical. I'm not sure what the musical is this year. I feel like people do know, but I don't remember. But we do all of the set painting for musicals. So we paint that massive bridge we had last year for Cinderella. We painted that, and that was a lot. And there were days where we were there till 5:30, 6 o'clock just painting because we had such a short notice last year. So that's like, November is kind of like our dead period. And then when musical is announced and we get all the stuff, that's when it's like meetings 2-3 times a week. We're there late. Like anybody who can stay late stays late. But I will say, one of the security guards, the really tall one, I think his name's Mike, he is having us, I don't know when he has to buy the paint for us yet, But at the football games, how there's the 4 metal detectors, he wants us to paint the Armstrong River Hawks logo on the side of them. So I think Mrs. K had talked about that being a November project because we are just so dead and have nothing to do then. So I'm looking forward to that because it'll be really simple and really easy, but it's a nice way to add a bit of color to something really boring.
I know it's a bit far away, but do you know what you're doing for prom at all?
So anybody who knows me knows that I love ladybugs. So, oh wait, that's not what you're asking. No, we don't do anything for prom. Prom is, I believe Stuco does prom. We're just homecoming because homecoming takes place at Armstrong. Prom doesn't. So we don't really get a say in anything.
So, but what were you saying about ladybugs?
Well, this is embarrassing now, but I really love ladybugs. So my sister, a plug to Haley Pella, she has started making flower bouquets that are made out of fake flowers, so it lasts like forever. And she made my prom and my homecoming and then my other homecoming flowers. So she wants, for homecoming, I want to have like ladybugs in my bouquet and succulents. So trying to figure something out, but I thought that's what you were asking.
I'm pretty sure that's all the questions that I have for art club president Riley Pella. I don't really know how to sign off on this. I'm just going to click this and hope that's it.